Welcome to the Sense of Soul podcast. We are your hosts, Shanna and Mandy.
Grab your coffee, open your mind, heart, and soul. It's time to awaken.
Hey friends, if you are looking for ad-free Sense of Soul episodes, you can find them at Sense of Soul Patreon. Become a monthly member at any level.
You will also have access to our monthly SOS Sacred Circles, our mini-series, merch, and much more.
And it's a great way to help support our podcast so that we can continue to bring you inspiring episodes twice a week with our enlightened guests from all around the world. Check out our Patreon.
Today, we have with us Robert Grover. He, along with his partner, Gary Logan, founded the Journeymen Collective, the company leading exclusive luxury guided shamanic retreats in the mountains of Kelowna, Canada, where they guide their clients through contemporary ceremonies using psilocybin, offering their visitors an extraordinary personalized experience. And I'm so excited to have Robert here with us today to tell us all about this magical place. Hi.
Hello. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Great to meet you too. So where are you at in Canada?
Kelowna, British Columbia. We're about an hour east of Vancouver. Or
Nice.
like an hour's flight, I should say. An hour and a bit from Seattle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Mandy lived in Seattle and she went there and God, she said it was like one of the most beautiful places ever. Have you always lived there?
Yes, I've lived in Canada my whole entire life. I've moved all over the country and started off on the East Coast, went all the way to the West Coast, and now we've moved inland a little bit to Kelowna.
Wow. Okay, cool. I'm originally from Louisiana.
Oh, beautiful.
Got that Acadian lineage that goes back to some of the First Nations.
Brilliant.
Yeah, a shaman named Etienne Pigaroche.
Like how far back does that go within your lineage?
He was my 10th grandfather.
Okay. Wow.
So, that's part of my journey.
Yeah.
Really like learning who I was, started dropping some of the conditions in my life. And I became very spiritual, always wanted to be on vacation in meditation. It was the ancestry work that actually really grounded me and gave me that balance.
Yeah.
So how did you get into being a journeyman?
Yes. I was originally in corporate. The mining and the petroleum industry had a deep love for understanding the earth. I didn't necessarily like being an active participant in the exploitation and the extractive part, but I loved understanding the earth.
Yeah.
I was speaking with a few of our team members last night and how earth sciences was super easy for me. It was like highly intuitive and it just made sense to me. And I'd look at something and was like, that makes sense. And so in about 2002, I had a bit of an awakening and some mystical experiences happening to me. And modern medicine couldn't explain what was going on with me. I went through a whole gamut of MRIs and whatnot, and the whole Western medicine piece. And they basically, like, no one could really determine what was going on. And I was seeing energy around people. And then I met a teacher and she looked at me and she held my hand and she said, "There's nothing wrong with you." And I was like, What do you mean? And she said, "You're supposed to be seeing what you're seeing." And then from that day on, it was just sort of an acceptance of seeing and knowing that I'm to translate that energy into something. And so, yeah, it just sort of became like an insatiable piece of me wanting to learn about what was going on and how I could actually like apply this in my life.
Wow. You know what? I have very similar with you. So I was in my late 30s and I had tons of pain everywhere. And I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. And one of the things I had was I could smell energy. So my doctor was giving me CAT scans. We were checking all the things. But she said to me, "I think you're smelling energy."
Yeah. Synesthesia. Yeah. And so I started seeing and then eventually also started smelling. And then I was working with a client once, and she said, I think what you're experiencing is synesthesia. There are about 60 to 80 different varieties of synesthesia. And essentially that's all about just you're processing energy in a different way. So someone may listen to music and see color, or they may read something and hear energy. So we're just using our subtle senses. Yeah, so that was what started my journey. And for Gary, I'll just briefly, he's the other part of the Journeymen Collective, the other founder. And his journey started when he was in theater school, like when he was 17 years old. And a big part of that he recognizes now is about breaking down the old version of who he was and like stripping yourself down to like, who do you really think you are? And who are you? And so that was sort of how he started his journey in mind, body, conscious awareness. And then he moved to England and discovered the Alexander technique, which is all about embodiment, mind, body, conscious awareness as well. He became a teacher of that technique in 2005. And he has other modalities under his belt as well. That's one of the main ones. And I think for me, in 2002, that's what started my journey into the healing world and the spiritual world. And then I eventually started having my own practice, my own business, and offering healing services to people. And then as I was leaving corporate, it became more about coaching and career coaching, executive coaching. And that was just me. And then what happened was Gary and I sensed that we had to come together in our business or our businesses and merge them. And we didn't quite know what that was, but we felt it coming. And then his mom, who lived with us, she transitioned. So she left the planet, she passed away. And that took us through a grieving process and a little bit of depression for both of us. And for us, it was like the first time that we had lived with someone who had actually passed away. And it was like every day waking up, I was like, whoa, like they're really gone. I think that whole experience invited us or initiated us into the next level of us. And it really called us forward into deepening our own spiritual practice, as well as Gary and I coming together and creating something, which is now known as the Journeymen Collective. And through that experience, one of the things that we felt like something has to shift, but what and how? And so we just sort of opened up, and this little tiny human came into our life, and she started speaking about this medicine man she was working with. And my initial thought was like, okay, so we're going to be in the forest eating bark and in the middle of nowhere. And it was a complete opposite of that. And it was a beautiful, like multi-million-dollar luxurious property. And it was done in a way that served us for where we were at. So I went on my very first shamanic journey, even though I had experience with plant medicines, but it was never in a reverential way.
Yeah.
And it was like, hey, let's just have some fun with my friends.
Right.
And so I went on a journey. Then Gary went on a journey, and he called me after his second ceremony. And he said, this is part of what I was shown, that we are to train with the medicine man that we're working with, and to take this to the people that we're called to work with. And so we literally just started. And that's something that we tell a lot of our people: when you get that inner ping, just start. And so we went through the rigors of training. And then what we really discerned was that there were pieces that we didn't necessarily have in that first experience that we thought would be really beneficial for people. So that's when we sort of started taking all the different braids of who we are and what we've grown through. And that's what we put forth for our people, our clients. So it's not just, people aren't just coming for a journey, a plant medicine journey. They're coming for a growth experience, an expansion of their awareness, and we just weave together all these different modalities into what's known as the Journeymen Collective. So there's executive coaching, there's mindset work, there's vibe set work, there's embodiment work, and it's, I'm sure you know, like the most elemental piece of the work is, we sort of categorize it as the spiritual, the mental, emotional, and the physical, and that you have to work with all of those layers, and it's very dynamic. I think one of the beautiful things that we love to do is really empower people to come through our experience, and they may not need us. They may not need to come back on a journey for 3, 4, 5 years. And I think one of the beautiful pieces that we lovingly like provide for people is just like the sense of the soul. The title of your podcast, I was talking about this morning with some of our team members, is like, I think one of the greatest luxuries to give someone is to allow someone to tend to your soul with a high level of integrity, a high level of intentionality, just to support them in that way. I'm getting goosebumps right now all over me. So that's what we really stepped into creating for people. And we firmly believe that what we have created is like nothing else on the planet. And it's such a high level of integrity, a high level of luxury, a high level of intentionality. And really, like so many people say, the answers are within you. And it's like really giving people the tools to like, okay, people say that, but what's the how? They're like, how do I do that? And it's like, well, this is where we're never ever going to tell you what to do, ever. We're going to allow you to recognize that if you sit in those quiet moments and listen to yourself, you can actually listen to your soul. You can sense your soul. You can sense your inner being and curate your unique listening, your subtle senses, and bring that into creation, or bring that into supporting others in what they're creating.
Wow. First of all, I can sense your soul totally. You know, a lot of times, you know, I'm waiting for the soul moment, but you came in here with that. And just as you begin to speak about your work and what you guys have done, your soul just came to the forefront. I could feel your passion. I could feel your energy so strong. And, you know, so many people go through this pain like you and I were talking about. Then there's the stripping down. I literally have said the same words that you were saying that Gary said. And then the death, many times there's a death connected. And then I have to know about the little tiny lady that came into your world. How little was she? Wait, what? Just a little tiny human.
Yeah.
Little tiny human.
Yeah. A little fairy human. She's probably about 5 foot nothing. And just sort of like when she really embodied her essence of who she was, she sort of looked like Jackie O.
Oh, wow.
So she just sort of came into our lives very briefly, introduced us to the medicine man, and then left.
She's an angel for you guys on earth. Yeah. And I loved how you said tending to the soul. That literally almost melted me. Yeah. So you guys have created not just the space, which a lot of you have to have the space to heal, but also tell us about the actual physical location, the space that you chose and why you did.
Yeah. And the journey to get to where we're at has been a growth journey in itself. And we thought it was going to be in one location, and then we were guided to let it go. And we're like, what? But this is the dream. Why are we supposed to let this go? But we felt elated, and we felt like kids in the candy store that get to go shopping again for a different property. And we had this vision of having a home and also having a center, and having them separate. And then we found a place that was potentially going to be the center. And then when we went to move toward it, it basically was bought by someone else. And so we're like, okay, so again, coming back to our work, recenter, reorient ourselves, and like, what's the modus operandi here is to create a center that is highly personalized for people. And like, we only work with 1 to 4 people at a time. So we wanted something that had a specific essence to it. And when we walked in the door, we knew. And what was that essence? The essence was that it felt connected upwardly, but also connected downwardly. So I guess you could say connected to the heavens, but also connected to the earth. So connected to spirit, but also very grounded as well. And
as
that's what,
so below.
yeah, exactly. And so we believe that as you connect with spirit, as you connect with the universe, those connections that you become aware of are there for you to create with. One of the things that we love is we just love that refined aspect of life and living. And so the center, which is also our home, so we had to let go of the fact that was it to be two separate pieces, but no, the guidance that came through is that it can be both. So it's a home for us. When our clients come and work with us, it's our center. It's a luxurious estate. It has a grand feel with grand views. And those views really help people like expand their own sense of what's possible for themselves. And there's a healing aspect, because I think so many times we have this very narrow focus of what's possible or what we're here to do, and having that just massive view for people to look out into is something that people get to luxuriate into as well.
It's so amazing, even though you're going inward, to know that you are surrounded by the beauty of Mother Earth is amazing.
Yeah. I think the other piece too with that is the work that we guide and bring people through. It can be really deeply uncomfortable as you unearth those aspects of self that are wanting you to like discover them. It can be really uncomfortable. And so one of the things that we really, really love to like nourish people in is to allow them to be deeply comfortable. So it's like a super comfortable, luxurious environment. And I guess it's along the lines of you don't have to suffer to heal.
I like how you talked about how, basically we are creators, I'm a creatress.
Yeah.
And we in our lives are constantly creating all throughout the day, but yet we don't see that we are creators in our own right. And I was thinking about this when you were talking about, needing a safe place, because a lot of, stuff comes out, the stuff that's going to come out is the stuff probably you didn't even know even existed in there. And do you ever find that sometimes maybe when someone has done a lot of work, or maybe even yourself who has a lot of experience with many journeys, that it comes to the point where you've healed this life stuff, so now you're working on a different level of yourself? So we were talking about the different levels, that multidimensional person that we are. And are you finding that sometimes like the work is done in the past life, or maybe on your oversoul or something bigger than just, some of the crap that shows up in our regular lives?
Oh, definitely. I think there's always some aspect of ancestral ancestral energies that come up to and through people like throughout the journey. And like part of our guidance when we're with people is that you're not necessarily going to stay in that one piece throughout the whole entire ceremony or throughout the whole entire journey. You're going to move through it. And that's part of what we teach people to move through. And it's recognizing the aspect that, hey, I'm just this, like the me that I know I am, I'm just a small little dendril. And there are other pieces that are connected to something greater that, I can connect into that at any time just by using what you may discover in the journey as like a screen capture moment. And we call them touchstones, so that you can use what the creator is showing you and bring that into creation, because that's part of what we believe, that whatever you're shown in a journey, the applied integration of moving it into creation of something, whether it be in relationship, or whether it be into a physical product, or whether it be into an actual business or a service, that's what we sense that the universe wants for us.
There's an intention behind this vision, and it's for you to journey inward to find it. And I went to this medium, this is a long time ago, and she says, you have a shaman here. And I just learned of Etienne, and she said, you need to go and journey to meet him. And I was fortunate. My teacher was right under Sandra Ingerman. So I learned directly from that lineage, and she had been doing it for over 20 years. But everyone's in this class and they're all excited to meet their spirit animal. And I'm not meeting no animal. I want to meet this, shaman. So I go in and there's this hawk, and I'm like, no, I'm not here to meet a hawk. But I follow the hawk and I get to this clearing, and out comes the wolf. And I'm like, not another animal. And then all of a sudden the wolf stood up and turned into a man. And then she starts doing the comeback, and I'm like, no. But I couldn't wait to go back the next day, because I was like, oh, I got to go back.
Yeah.
I got to get the drum. I got to go. And he became a huge part of my journey in the beginning. He was with me through my Reiki journey and through, all my ancestral work. He was always around, and he served his purpose. And I think me telling his story was part of why he reached through generations. Yeah, we served each other in that way. But I feel like that connection when you were journeying, your ancestors, that's how they did it. That's their telephone line.
What we call it divine Wi-Fi.
Okay, there you go. But you're part of this universe. It's just far more than your city, your state, this earth. So, but have you ever, because I've had experiences with many different beings before, have you ever had extraterrestrial, or I believe angels or aliens? So yeah, there have been connections with different star civilizations, different celestial beings, and we believe that that's part of what you're here to remember. You're not just a child of a specific community or a specific country, that you're here as a child of the cosmos. You're here as a child of the universe. Children of the light.
Exactly. And so it's when we remember that, and someone may think okay, Rob, Gary, you guys work with executives and entrepreneurs and professionals, how is that going to help me? And knowing that connection is there to support you in whatever issues are coming up for you in your life, whether it's, hey, I want to go create a new product, or I want to take my business to the next level and expand, then we can actually bank on those energies to support us in the creative process. So it's not just, ooh, I saw these beings. It's, I was connected with them for a reason. Yes. And I was connected with them for me to foster that relationship.
I definitely would have considered my shaman, that's the experience. He was spiritually guiding me. I would consider him coming into my life as a spirit guide. Yeah. And I had this other one. I haven't talked about him in so long. It's hilarious. It's I asked for a spirit guide. I got one, and I got this monk, and he was a friar, a Franciscan monk.
Yeah.
And he was mute. And it wasn't for years that someone said to me, he probably has a vow of silence. And I was like, oh my God. But I'm my luck, I get a mute spirit guide that doesn't speak to me, but it was always, in every, journey I'd go on. And I end up putting together a past life connection with him. So it's very interesting. It seems like all of the guides that have ever come through to me have specific connection between my soul and theirs. And some of the coolest work that I've ever done was connecting those dots, because it was very, very significant in my journey.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Have you found that to be for yourself or for others?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the number one thing that all humans are looking for, and is connection. They have this inner knowing, or this inner sense that, I'm missing something. And so, you talking about the connection to those guides, just I'm getting goosebumps even thinking about it. The fact that you're remembering back into that connection, you can tap into that with your memory at any point in time to say, it's like a lot of the time we'll call up a friend and say, hey, I'm going through this, or I'm going through this. Can you just support me through this? And we can remember back into those connections to support us in life and love and in business and whatever you're creating. I think that's what humanity is really moving up through right now, is that they're really, really, really yearning for that deeper level, deeper and more expansive connection.
When you're going into that space, right, where you're not rejecting, some of the things that you're receiving. Because sometimes people would be like, I'm really not sure that is, you'll argue with yourself. So you get into the space where that argument or that ego kind of takes the corner. Yeah. So with, psychedelics and different plant medicine, you're creating that safe space for people to receive. Mm-hmm. What plants do you work with? And what does that look like for you?
Yeah, so we primarily work with psilocybin, otherwise known as magic mushrooms. And we work with a number of varieties of the medicine as well, because they all do different things. And so based on the individual, so the thing is, we get to know our people before they come and work with us. And there's a minimum of 4 weeks of prep work, and then 4 full days in person, and 2 ceremonies, 2 full days of integration. And when people are with us, it's a very dynamic process that we tune into our people, and also ask them as well, like, what do you feel like you need right now? Like, this is what we're sensing, but maybe you sense something different. And so it's a very dynamic restorative process that really lets people rest deeply into themselves and discover, like, clear out a lot of the old to connect. So again, that connection piece, connecting more deeply with self, and then the awareness expands as well. And so again, with magic mushrooms, with psilocybin, there's a decomposition of the old. And like, because you've been on this journey for a while, I'm sure you're aware of that. Like, we go through stages in life where, like, yet in yesteryear, in tribe or village settings, whereby there was always an initiation that took place. There was always a time to give reverence to the last 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years. And there's a grieving process as well of letting that old self go. And so that's part of the space that we create for people as well, is it's just like letting go of the old stories, and really just allowing yourself to discover a deeper part of yourself. And the medicine, like we often tell people, is like, you're not just coming to work with plant medicine, you're coming to work with Robert's medicine as well as Gary's medicine. And we have an array of modalities that we bring into this whole entire experience for you. And our intention is that it's the best possible experience for you. And it's the most restorative process that you can come through for yourself. I know there are people out in the world trying to take sort of the magic out of the mushroom. And like, when I say that, what I'm alluding to is that the pharmaceutical industry is trying to sort of take that out. And they're witnessing that it's not necessarily helping people to the extent that they wanted or thought that it would. And when you keep the magic in it, what happens is you discover parts of yourself. You learn about yourself.
They're taking the sacredness out of it by bringing it to labs and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that has some place, but the grander place, if we look back at history, like, there are so many instances where plant medicine would have been used throughout history to actually create what we're in now. Like, the modern medicine was created through plant medicine ceremonies. And so it's when we actually allow ourselves to have those mystical experiences, but not only a mystical or a transcendental experience or altered state, whatever you want to call it, that's where the learning happens. That's where you receive information, and then from that information, you bring it into understanding. And then from that understanding, you apply it into your life. And as a result, it becomes wisdom that then can be converted into and you can create from it. It's not just doing something too, but there's a change that is calling from within you. So the old aspect of you wants to fall away. And when we can look at that old aspect head on and say, oh, I see you, I acknowledge you, I love you, and we're going to let you go so that this next version of me can come to the table of my life. I think, like you said, the sacred part, we have to keep the sacred part in our life. Yeah.
So intentional.
Yeah. The other piece to that too is that, like, we're with you the entire time that you're with us in person. And when we're guiding you through that journey, it's akin to us going on a hike up through the mountains on the inner landscape, but we're there, you're leading it from the inside, but we're there to sort of like bop you along and guide you. And we'll see different pieces that we can sort of like help you integrate it into your life. So there's like a minimum of 3 months of support after an in-person journey with us. And almost everyone says that was like the most valuable part of the actual journey, because now I'm back in my life. Now I'm back to work. Now I'm back to creating what I'm creating. And I'm witnessing where I can make the shifts, where I can actually implement what I've learned. And I think that's because we personalize it with that high level of intention. Like we often say, we put the person back in personal development.
Yeah. I'm picturing someone showing up at your door and leaving like a totally different person.
Yeah, totally. And
they even look different, right?
Definitely. Yeah. A lot of people notice a shift in maybe from a heaviness to a lightness. And a lot of people will say, like, I feel like I don't want to leave. Most people want to stay, but they feel that they're fully ready to go back out into the world. Mm-hmm. And they want to go back out. And then there's the other part that, can I just stay and live with the Journeymen Collective?
Yeah, right. Can I just camp in your backyard all the time?
Yeah.
So, I'm a seeker, and I'm talking like, I want understanding, right? Mm-hmm. I want the knowledge and wisdom of understanding, so my journey, I grieve a lot of things. That I'm glad that you brought that up, because I think that our listeners need to hear that. Like, that is part of the process. Like, I had to grieve almost everything I freaking knew when it came to history, religion, the dynamics of family. Everything. It was insane. It's so crazy how much I had to grieve, right? But it is such a big part, and it can be so devastating to people if they don't have the support. Mm-hmm. And actually, when you said that, and it was part of it, I was like, God, I wish someone would have told me that. You know what I mean? That grieving was part of the process. I learned that it was, but I didn't have any kind of mentor. So I think that is so important. That's why we did the podcast, because it was like, maybe other people are going through this too. So let's just talk about it. And then, come to find out, well, there's a shit ton of people who are going through it, and need to hear these things because they're normal. Right. Yeah. So, and I love another thing you said. One of my journeys has been through the Gnostic Gospels and in Pistis Sophia specifically. And when you said that, when you find wisdom, that is the creator, wisdom being Sophia, it means wisdom, and she is the creator. So I find it so interesting that whether it's, journeying through psilocybin, or whether it's chanting in your yoga studio, or if you're in your closet in Aurora, Colorado, Prince Harry freaking did ayahuasca. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I saw.
And it was a huge part of his journey. And I was like, wow, he just told Anderson Cooper this on national television. And sure, a lot of people are like, oh my God, he's so terrible. But I was like sitting there jumping up and down going, go Harry.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's like, the awareness is there and people are getting curious with that. I would invite people to really, really look at the level of intention, the level of integrity, the level of safety, the level of like care that you're going to receive. like I said, like at the top of this, like there's no other greater luxury than to allow someone to tend to and with your and for your soul. I spoke with someone the other day and he was like, it's like the Wild West out there and there's like plant medicine everywhere and you can go every weekend. And it's like, if you're being invited every weekend, there's something not right here.
Yeah.
It's akin to every time you go into ceremony, there's like another few puzzle pieces that are sort of floating around your being. And then it's your duty, your job to work with that energy with those puzzle pieces until they're more embodied. And then go to the next ceremony. Like we firmly believe like one, maybe two ceremonies a year, maybe. And like with a lot of our people, it's like some of the people we worked with 3-4 years ago are still like, I'm still working with the pieces that I discovered. And I know that I'm not quite ready yet. But then there's some people who are like getting to the 2 to 3 year mark who are like, okay, I'm sensing that it's almost time for me to step into this again, because they know that they've honored those puzzle pieces and they're ready to discover a few more puzzle pieces of their life.
And of course, there's no way to say, what an individual will need, because everyone's so unique. Mm-hmm. And I remember Bridget Finclair, she teaches the Keys of Enoch and the Pistis Sophia. And she had told me that I fast tracked through the Pistis Sophia. And I didn't really know what that meant until I started meeting other people who had journeys through the Pistis Sophia. And I was like, oh, okay, I get this. It's like one of the most complex readings, but yet I understand the whole damn book and I really haven't even read the whole thing. And so do you ever find that someone is okay to, go a little bit further or may never need it again?
Definitely. Yeah, there's so many pieces to that I could talk about for hours. So succinctly, I would say that with plant medicine, a lot of the time people just need that little extra nudge. And it's like we often say it's a doorway to a new state of consciousness. And if you honor that state of consciousness, if you honor that doorway, if you have proper aligned guidance with you, then that's the game changer for you. And that's where it might just be that one journey that you only ever need for your whole entire life. And that's brilliant. It's beautiful. And to me, like everything is just a frequency anyway. You can attune to that frequency without even going through that. However, you still might want to go into another ceremony. You still might want to come into another journey just because you have that inner calling. It's not from everyone's doing it. And it's from that inner space of like, oh, I'm being called or I'm being pulled into, because that's literally how my journey with all of this started. Like I was working with people from like all over the world and I asked like, okay, I can feel this sort of next level coming in, and what is it? What does it look like? And I saw this in my mind's eye. I saw this quintessential image of like 5 little mushrooms. And I was like, looks like I might be going on a plant medicine journey.
My journey's been the same, not with mushrooms, but seeing synchronicities and not quite knowing what they are, but if you lean into them, right?
Yeah. It's honoring that doorway. It's honoring that portal and knowing that you can, like, if you foster that relationship with that doorway, with that portal within yourself, then you can really, really, you can acquire whatever knowledge you need for whatever situation you're in, if you have, again, proper guidance. And then the biggest piece is like, we're all here to be human.
Yeah, true.
And the human condition is like so diversely complex, and we can make it simple if you allow yourself to honor that inner guidance so that you can be shown what's next for you from within.
Another thing, just talking about that fast track, is that someone can go to years of therapy, or maybe someone might be seeking for something for a long time. I mean, my ancestry journey was a good 6 years. I mean, it was long. My Sophia journey has been almost 2 years. It's deep. But if someone is stuck, right, and going in this loop with stuff, which you see it all the time, right? I'm sure, I know I have been even. And, I'm like, God, I wish I would have figured that out like 2 years ago. It would have been over. But that's what actually the mushrooms can do for you. They can help you get there.
Yeah. And again, I think like we often say that with the Journeymen Collective, it's a trifecta of the mushrooms and the medicine of Robert, the medicine of Gary, and then all the other support that we bring in too. And it can fast track you. It's not a quick fix, or it's not a happy meal. I think it's really is witnessing that you can be delivered a wealth of knowledge in one journey. And it's like you're given a library of knowledge, and then your access to it is infinite. So I think that's possibly where the fast track will happen, where it's like, oh, it's been there all along. I just needed one deep cleanse of my being so that I could witness that it's there. And I think in 2023, what we're witnessing, there's a shift happening where the sacred wisdom keepers are now becoming the sacred wisdom sharers, and they're sharing it. They're not just keeping it, but they're moving it out into the world. And it's going to ramp up even more and more and more. And I've been witnessing a lot of people that like their level of wisdom that they have just like is exponential. They'll start the journey and they'll be very sort of new. They'll be like maybe into a little bit of mindset work or a little bit of meditation. And then it's like, whoop. Like,
I've seen that too. I've totally seen that too.
Mm-hmm.
Not through any, just with working with people, not with mushrooms or anything, but just my students. And you know what? Another thing is that my name, I discovered, means the possessor of hidden wisdom. And it is my entire purpose, and has been my journey to uncover the truth and reveal that. So that's my ultimate purpose. That's what I'm here for. So I see that to be a collective mission, Totally. And so whenever I connect with people, which of course I do, because my vibration is that of that. And so, I connect with people who have the same mission, which is just so beautiful. I would love to come out there to Canada and have an experience. Do you have to have a core issue to work on, or can you just come to experience your soul and the unknown, or have maybe just trust in whatever you're supposed to receive?
Yeah, we have a variety of people that we work with, and some people will have like something that is there. A lot of people will just sort of sense that like, hey, I have the feeling I'm supposed to work with you, and I don't necessarily know why, but then the pieces will be revealed if you trust it. It's it's hyper ultra personalized for our people. And like we never work with any more than 4 people in a group.
I have a question though. Why mushroom and not ayahuasca? What's the difference there?
Yeah. So the simple answer is that quintessential image that I spoke about where I saw the 5 little mushrooms. That was like an inner calling that we trusted. And TSW, this shit works. So it's something that we fostered a relationship with that medicine, and it's gentle and potent at the same time. It can be intense and gentle as well at the same time.
Because you can microdose. I mean, I microdosed for like 3 weeks. Yeah. And believe me, nobody would have known.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless, they may have said, oh, wow, you really are present with me. They may have, you know what I mean? Maybe they would have been like, wow, you're really listening to me. Yeah. Because I definitely suffer from, ADHD sometimes. I have that I'm very clairvoyant, and sometimes mine is physical as well. And so it's happened only 2 other times. So like 2 years ago, we had on this lady, and she literally turned into her ancestor and never returned. And I couldn't even speak the rest of the time. I was looking at Mandy. Mandy was normal and she wasn't. And I sat there and drew her. And after I was done, I looked like I had drawn like an alien. It was insane. And then I had on this girl not too long ago, and she claims to be a hybrid human. And she literally morphed for like 2 seconds, and I saw it. But you have had something go on with your eyes like at least 3 or 4 times. Yeah. So I've never told anybody like on the spot. So owning that. Yeah.
I know what that is too. It's like where there's just different streams of consciousness that flow through me, and I've learned to just let it move through me. And that's part of what, when we guide people through journeys, we jokingly say that we're like divine puppets sometimes, and that we just allow whatever energy needs to, of the highest accord, of the highest order, of the highest harmony, that wants to flow through us for our people. We bring that through and emanate it out to the people that are in ceremony with us. Yeah. So it's there are different essences that I know that move through me.
Okay, so it's not a surprise that I just told you that then.
Yeah.
But you know, it's so weird is because the first time it happened, I was like, you know, I'm very clairvoyant. You like close my eyes and see them very clear. I don't hear anything, which always sucks, because if I did, maybe I'd get them more answers. But when I started to physically, I mean, I can see auras and stuff like that too, but I think it's maybe happened other times. Like, you know, I didn't pay attention. And once I started, you know, like putting it together, I don't feel this way with you. So this is very interesting. I'm going to have to journal about this, but I got really super freaking tired. Like I never felt in my entire life. It's actually happened 3 times with that, because it happened with Soul Luckman as well. But yeah, and actually he's anonymous. So Soul Luckman, so I couldn't see him, but I felt like I've never felt so tired in my life. But with you, I actually feel super hyper, almost like I have a lot of energy. Yeah. So
which is what you should feel.
I know, that's why I was a little worried about those others, but you know, I mean, it's just interesting. It's just something that I'm starting to put together, and I'm gonna have to journal, and yeah, I don't know, it's kind of cool, but yeah, so yeah, but I had to tell you. Yeah, your eyes were doing, it was almost like they weren't yours a few times.
It happens.
That's so amazing. Now you have a podcast as well, right?
Yes.
You and Gary together.
Yes. Gary's been the main person who's been spearheading that, and it's the Journeymen Collective. It's on our website, which is thejourneymencollective.com as well. Yeah, and for the most part, we speak with our previous clients and just sort of like have conversations with them about what was life like beforehand, what was it like to work with us, and then also what is our life like now, and what's been sort of, what are they creating?
I love that. I actually did listen to one who had just been there. She was sharing her experience. She was young too. She was like in her early 20s. Do you know which episode I'm talking about?
Paris.
She was wise. So was she one of the ones you were talking about? She had super knowledge, man, for being so young. Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of hope. And that's why I think we need to support these younger generations. Gen Z is fucking amazing. People want to hate on them. Oh my God, they're amazing. They're going to be the ones to bring everyone together one day. I really do believe that. I have goosebumps saying that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And now it's time for Break That Shit Down.
What's alive in me right now is getting quiet with yourself and asking yourself, what is it that I really want to create to support another, to support another community, to support the planet? What is it that I want to create? Asking yourself that question. I think the shift that we've been through over the last 3-4 years collectively is like, I think more and more people have become insular and have sort of hidden away. And so I think more and more people are like, who the fuck do I turn to? Who can support me? I feel like I'm boxed away. And I know people are starting to like be more involved in life, but I think there's a grieving process as well of like what has taken place over the last few years. That was like life's never going back to normal. It never was normal. But I think in that process of like, what am I to create?
So are you also like a psychic medium as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because like I literally wrote that in my notes last night. Let me see, what time was it? January 12th, 11:28 a.m. And I put, now that you have it, what will you create with it? Yeah. I mean, this is like my entire past week has been about that wisdom in creating something with it.
Yeah.
So
apply everything that you learned, because if not, it's akin to you going to university, investing 4 to 5 to sometimes 8 years of your life, and then not even using what you've actually learned. How can I apply as well? So how can I apply that which I have learned, that I want to embody? Because it's when you come off the yoga mat, like you said, like I went through so many different meditation retreats and just wanted to live there and be there all the time. It's like, that's not what life is about. It's going and doing that, but then taking the knowledge of self and going out and helping others and living it and leaving others with an impression of increase.
Right? What are you going to leave here? And that is what, like, I've found recently, because I look at the hidden gospels and stuff, and I'm like, they wrote all this here. This is what they left here. This is their imprint here for us to find. And then I was like, holy cow, like, what am I going to leave? Right? What am I going to leave here? And I think that, people talk, that's what I think legacy is,
Yeah. What's your, so the other question that's just coming right through now is like, what's your universal footprint that you're going to leave behind?
Yes. I never thought about it that way. You take all the things that you have learned in your journey, just like you would have all the classes that you took, to get your major. Yeah. What do you have? People should do that. Listeners should do that. They should write down all the gifts, they've received, all the pain to purpose, all the, mountains they've climbed and boulders they've dodged. Yeah.
And then look at it and be like, okay, how can I coalesce this into some sort of creation? Yes. And it might be a new painting. It might be you starting to journal. It might be you writing a book. It might be you starting a new business or a new relationship. All of that energy, all that information wants to move into something.
Yeah, I can tell you this much. It also might morph and that same thing, maybe painting today, but it could be a book tomorrow, and it could be, something even different after that, because that's what I found with my journey, that it kept evolving, right? Of course. Yeah. I love it. You are so wise. I'm sad I didn't get to meet your partner, Gary. Tell him I said, what's up? But I really enjoyed this conversation, and I think what you're doing is beautiful. Can you just tell our listeners one more time your website so they know where to go? And if you have any social media you want to throw out there?
Yes. So our social media and our website are thejourneymencollective.com. Instagram is the same, The Journeymen Collective. And we're on Facebook as well. And look at our website. If you feel the call and the pull to come and work with us at that high level, that high caliber, luxurious journey, then apply to connect with us, and we'll speak with you and see how we can support you through the work that we offer.
That's awesome. We have a lot of Canada listeners, and a lot of them are active with us. Like, we see them in our circles all the time. I've become friends with them, lifelong friends. And so I'm excited. Maybe some of them can join you. That'd be amazing. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on.
You're wonderful. Thank you so much for having us, or having me.
Yeah, I know. I'm used to saying us too. Yeah. Thank you so much. It was so nice to meet you.
Pleasure. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Thanks for being with us today. We hope you will come back next week. If you like what you hear, don't forget to rate, like, and subscribe.
Thank you. We rise to lift you up.
Thanks for listening.